Did you know that Pompeii is not famous because it was an important Roman city, but because of how well it's been preserved? Hello and welcome to World History Encyclopedia. My name is Kelly and today's video is all about the city of Pompeii. Don't forget the easiest way to support us is by giving this video a thumbs up, subscribing to our channel and hitting that bell icon for notifications so you don't miss out on our new videos every Tuesday and Friday. World History Encyclopedia is a non-profit organisation, so if you'd like to support our work you can head to our Patreon via the link in the top corner of the screen or via the Patreon link down below. Pompeii was a Roman city in the region of Campania. In 79 CE, the city and surrounding areas were completely covered in ash by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. This eruption and devastation of settlements would have been a tragedy in the ancient world, but it has meant that many things from the ancient world that are usually lost in time have survived to us, which makes Pompeii the richest Roman archaeological site found thus far. The site, which is now known as Pompeii, was initially settled in the Bronze Age on the slope at the mouth of the River Sarno. The original settlers didn't know that they had established themselves on a slope that had been created by an earlier, long-forgotten eruption of Mount Vesuvius, which to them was simply a large mountain overlooking them. Although the settlers were unaware of the volcano they were neighbours with, Greek mythology remembered that there was once a powerful volcano in the region, since it was there that Hercules had fought giants in a fiery landscape, and the nearby town of Herculaneum, which suffered the same fate as Pompeii, was named after this Hercules legend. In the 8th century BCE, there were Greek colonies in the region of Campania, as well as Etruscans, until they were defeated at the Battle of Cumae in 474 by the local Greeks and Syracusans. Next, the Samite peoples moved into the region from local mountains, and they started dominating the region, until they were preoccupied with fighting each other in what is known as the Samite Wars, between 343 and 290 BCE. During this time, the Romans began to influence the region. The site of Pompeii was always favoured by the Romans. In the 2nd century BCE, the Romans undertook a number of large building projects, but the people of Pompeii were still quite independently minded. After a rebellion in 80 BCE, the ruthless Roman military commander Sulla besieged the city and set up his colony of Venus of 4,000 to 5,000 legionaries in the town, and a time of prosperity followed. On February 5th, 62 CE, a massive earthquake, which measured 7.5 on the Richter scale, struck and devastated the surrounding areas of the volcano. Even parts of Naples, which lie 32 kilometers away from the volcano, were damaged by the earthquake. Walls collapsed, fires ravaged the town, and even sheep in the fields were dying from the poisonous gas being released. The death toll was probably in the thousands, and damage to the aqueducts and underground pipes affected the water supply. After the destruction of the earthquake, some of the population left the town, but the rest stayed and repaired the damages, and eventually life went back to normal. The seismic activity caused by the volcano didn't seem to worry the inhabitants of Pompeii for the next 17 years, until high summer in 79 CE. Fish floated dead in the Sarno, springs and wells inexplicably dried up, and vines on the slopes of Mount Vesuvius mysteriously wilted and died. Despite these unexplainable events, only a small number of people left the city. Why would they, when they had no idea what was happening? Then, on the morning of August 24, 79 CE, although new evidence from Pompeii inscriptions suggest it may have been in October, there was a huge bang and the magma brewing in Vesuvius burst through the crater. From the volcano bellowed fire and smoke, and at midday the volcano erupted and a massive mushroom cloud of pumice particles rose 43 kilometers into the sky. The ash started to fall on Pompeii, and although it was light at first, within only a few minutes, the whole city was covered in centimeters of ash. People naturally tried to flee the city or shelter themselves, but in the early evening, another explosion rang out, and this time with the ash fell much heavier stones, and the volcanic material that smothered the town was by now meters thick. Buildings collapsed and people hid with their loved ones or valuable possessions until 11 p.m. when the huge cloud hanging above the volcano collapsed from its own weight and blasted the town in 6 devastating waves of superheated ash and air, which asphyxiated and literally baked the bodies of the entire population. Still, the ash kept falling, and relentlessly the once vibrant city was buried meters deep to be lost and forgotten, wiped from the face of the earth. In 1755, the city was finally rediscovered, and from then on, excavations have been undertaken in the regions devastated by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. What was found in Pompeii changed many preconceived beliefs about the Roman world, like how common bronze statues actually were, and how bronze was more commonly used in Roman art than previously thought. The skeletal remains of those who couldn't flee the eruption and the plaster casts of them have shown us the damage to their teeth caused by stone chips in bread and an oversweet diet. Other invaluable finds from the site include textual evidence like inscriptions, wax tablets, signs, amphorae labels, and graffiti. It's the graffiti that has truly given us an insight into the thoughts, desires, and daily lives of the ordinary people from Pompeii. The city was one of the more important ports in the Bay of Naples, and the settlements around it, like Nola, Nuceria, and Decaria, would have sent their produce to Pompeii for it to then be transported around the empire. Goods such as olives and olive oil, wine, wool, fish sauce or garum, salt, walnuts, apricots, cherries and figs were exported, and imported were things like exotic fruits, spices, silk, giant clams, sandalwood, wild animals and slaves. The economy of Pompeii flourished and their wealth grew, with middle-class citizens such as merchants putting their wealth into the construction of splendid villas. Thanks to the eruption, we know so much about the city, its buildings and its inhabitants. The town was surrounded by a wall with many gates, with entrances separated for pedestrians and vehicles. There are no street names or numbers on the wide paved streets, but there is evidence for traffic control, with some streets limited to only one direction of traffic. There are several thousand buildings in the town, including shops, modest homes, splendid villas, baths, taverns, markets, temples, brothels, schools, fast food restaurants, and sit-down dining establishments, public latrines, laundries, and theatres. Pretty much everything you need for a town full of people. Amongst the larger buildings are small shrines to numerous deities and ancestors, as well as around 40 public fountains. Most of the large villas were built in the 2nd century BCE, and they show their Greek origins. Larger villas would typically have a small doorway into an entrance corridor, which would open onto the large atrium, which would be columned. It would have a rectangular pool of water and be open to the sky. From the atrium, other rooms like the dining room and bedrooms could be accessed. There would be movable screens that would separate rooms and keep the heat in winter, and they were often decorated with scenes from Roman mythology. The villas had private gardens adorned with statues and ornate fountains, and would be surrounded by a peristyle. Larger villas would often have a triclinium, or eating area, in the garden outside. On top of all of this, the villas were often decorated with incredible wall paintings and floor mosaics. It's through the survival of so many wall paintings from Pompeii and Herculaneum that we know so much about the religion, diet, clothing, agriculture, architecture, and daily lives of the Pompeian people. In contrast to the ornate villas are the modest homes, sometimes 2 or 3 stories tall, the frequented taverns and the quarters for slaves, which were small, cramped, and prison-like. Roman wall paintings were done in bright colours, with yellow, red and brown being very popular colours, and they depict scenes from mythology and daily life, landscapes and architecture. It's because of the sheer amount of surviving art from Pompeii and Herculaneum that Roman wall painting could be classified into different styles. Style 1 was most popular in the 2nd century BCE. It was often a painted dado, which means the lower section of the wall below waist height, a middle area painted and divided into 3 areas, a frieze and a cornice like in classical architecture. Style 2 came from Rome in around 90 BCE. This style incorporated columns, and paintings with religious and cult scenes were most popular. Another feature of Style 2 is a central scene flanked on either side by small framed paintings. Style 3 comes from the reign of Augustus and boasted detailed and elaborate architectural elements. Black, red and yellow were the most dominant colours, and greater detail is paid to symmetry. The final style is Style 4, which is highly decorative and best seen at Pompeii. White backgrounds were popular, and this style saw even more attention to detail. There are so many mosaics and wall paintings from Pompeii that are now well known, such as the Dog on a Leash mural, Cave Canem or Beware of Dog, the erotic wall paintings from the Lupanar, the Villa of Mysteries depicting what is believed to be a Dionysiac mysteries, and what is now known as the Sappho fresco, along with many, many more. Since the site is still being excavated, with a third of the site still untouched, who knows what else may be found. Imagine there's an earthquake in your city and crops were dying nearby. Would you have fled the city, or would you have stayed? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on our new videos every Tuesday and Friday. This video was brought to you by World History Encyclopedia. For more great articles and interactive content, head to our website by the link below. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon with another video.